Want to do it? Oh, we're live. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Sharpe Talk. We are absolutely elated. This evening we have a very special guest joining us. Two-time Pro Bowler, father of 4, and grandfather of 9. Lifelong friend of our family, Mr. Vai Sikahema. Welcome, Vai.
Rebecca, Luis, it is so good to see your faces. Rebecca, I first saw you when you were born, just a child, just an infant, and you have just gotten more beautiful over the years.
Well, thank you so kindly.
I appreciate more beautiful over the years.
My mom was actually joking with me. She said everybody thought I was Samoan when I was a baby. So it seemed like I belonged to you and your wife.
I didn't want to say it with respect to my brother here, but you could be one of mine. You look like you could be one of mine.
Thank you. That's a very high compliment.
Well, I always tell her, thank God that she came out looking more like her father and not her mom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, friends and family. We're so excited to have Vi. Thank you for joining us on Sharpe Talk this evening. Go ahead, Rebecca.
All righty. So I know that there are a lot of people who are tuning in and they want to know about the glory days. And we're definitely going to get into that. But as we've seen in this unprecedented year of 2020, there have been many historical moments and proverbial glass ceilings that have been shattered, right? So I want to highlight your background, Vi. You grew up in Tonga, which is a small atoll in the middle of the Pacific. And you were the very first Tongan player to reach the heights of the National Football League, which is truly a remarkable accomplishment. So I want you to share a little bit more with our viewers about your very dynamic background.
Thank you, Rebecca. My background, interestingly, is not too different than your father's. Your father coming from immigrating from Cuba with his parents and settling in the Detroit area, and I think your grandparents or your grandfather worked in the auto industry, and we came for probably the same reasons. My parents, they're for generations they farmed coconuts.
Wow.
Coconuts are plentiful in Tonga, and if you have enough of them, you dry the meat and you ship it to places like Sydney, Australia, Auckland, New Zealand, Singapore, where they use it for all the things that coconut-based products, soap, lotion. So that's what my family did for generations. But my parents felt in the early mid-'60s, as I was a child, that they wanted more for their children. I think they were like your grandparents were looking ahead and thinking, our children and our grandchildren, they may not want to, do this kind of work. They may want to have other opportunities, and they didn't know what those opportunities would be exactly, but they knew that coming to America was a start. So they did. We settled in the Phoenix area, and as you know, our football career wound us back to Phoenix. But I played high school football, got drafted. I was signed. I played at Brigham Young University. And then I was drafted by the Cardinals, like your father, I think 4 years ahead of me. Your dad was a first-round draft pick. I was a 10th-round draft pick, so it wasn't exactly the same from there. But
you guys made it to the same place, right?
But I got there, and your dad. I was saying this the other day, but when I got to St. Louis, your dad was in his 4th or 5th year. I think your dad was the first pick in the '83 draft or '82. Luis?
1982, 16th overall pick.
Yeah. 82 draft picks, so 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. So he was in his 5th year. Here's why that's significant. In his 5th year, my rookie year, your father had become established as the best left tackle in the National Football League, a position second only, in my opinion, which is shared by many, as a second in importance in football. Quarterback is probably the most important, and the person that protects his blind side at left tackle is the second most important. So when I got there, your father his career was not only ascending, but he had established himself in his 5th year as the best in the league, and he was going against, again, it's a matter of opinion, but our opinion counts. He was playing against the very best players in the, not just in the NFL. In our division, you had Lawrence Taylor in New York, Reggie White in Philly. You had Dexter Manley in
Washington.
In Washington, thank you. And then Charles Haley, in Dallas. Hello, every battle was a heavyweight fight like Frazier Ali for your dad. I mean, and I'm not making this up. I'm just saying this is a matter of record. This is a matter of historical record that. But we were together for, I guess, 5 years in our careers, and I can tell you that some of the best, absolute fondest memories I have of playing football, high school, college, pros, was spent with your dad.
Wow.
Thank you for those very kind and gracious words. I appreciate those words, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, and Vai, you actually highlighted it. So my dad was among one of the first Cuban Americans or Cubans, right, who played in the National Football League as well. So I just want to know, do you all think that cultural or ethnic component that you all kind of came from similar, very humble roots is part of what knitted you all together as friends while you were playing together in the 80s?
Yeah, no question for me. I don't know if your father and I have not talked that much about it, but I suspect that he felt the same way that I did. And Luis, how old were you when you came to America?
I was 5 years old.
I was 7.
Wow.
So I came and had to learn how to speak English. So I had to navigate life and the world and schools and culture differences, language differences, all those things your father and I had to navigate, roughly at the same time. And so a lot of our counterparts didn't have those challenges. We shared a lot of commonalities with our teammates, and that most of us grew up poor, and some extremely poor in some cases. And so we were there fighting for our jobs every day. And it was, one of the things that I always admired about your father, one, he went to UCLA, which is a tremendous academic school. My school, BYU is a great academic school as well, and a private school. But I always admired how well-spoken your father was and how he was able to articulate his thoughts as well as he did. I would listen to his interviews, after games. And one of the reasons why the media flocked to him is because he could articulate ideas and thoughts. And so he was highly sought after games. And he was a
smile right now. You're just making him glow now. I haven't seen him look like this in years.
I'm just telling you. I'm just speaking truth here. I'm telling you what it was like. So you're asking me, that question. We had these similarities, and so honestly, because he did that, I try to do that. I try to be thoughtful in my answers and not just give what we're going to go out there and we're going to get them again this week. We didn't do it last week, but we're going to go out there and do our best. And any given Sunday, it's anybody's ball game. No, your dad and I would offer, try to be thoughtful in our responses. And I think people in the media, I think, Louis, you were there. I think they responded and they respected that from us.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that we did, no matter what the odds were, playing the world champion. At the time, we had the Giants who were Super Bowl champions, the Cowboys, the Redskins, and we, the St. Louis/Arizona Cardinals, were like sisters of the poor. Oh. So, you had to speak positive things. Hey, look, they put their pants on just like we do. We've had a good week of practice. We feel very confident that we can stand up to them. We're professional just like them because, the media, all the prognosticators, they said there was no chance that we would win. So we had to believe in ourselves if we were going to go out there and perform our duties as professional football players.
We had a teammate, by the way, that we often speak of and we were fond of, and means a favorite teammate of both of ours. His name is Roy Green, who was outspoken, and he would say crazy things like, "Man, if I got another year of rebuilding." I've been on so many rebuilding teams. We got a skyscraper in this.
Hey, Vi. Speaking of Roy, tell the story. 1986, you and I were selected to our first Pro Bowl, and tell the story how you found out and what you did with Ring of Honor member Roy Green.
So Roy had been with the Cardinals before either of us. He was there, 3 or 4 years before Luis, and he was frankly one of the star. He wasn't just one of the star players on our team where there weren't a lot of star players, but he was one of the star players in his position in the NFL.
Wow.
We call it, he had the nickname Jetstream. I think it was because there was a poster that was made by Nike, or somebody made a poster and had him as, like a jet. And so everybody called him, we all called him Jetstream. So, so we get named to the Pro Bowl my first year and your dad's, it's both of our first Pro Bowls. And here I am, a rookie. I think your dad's 4th year. We're going to the Pro Bowl. And I found out that I was going, I had no idea I was going to the Pro Bowl. I was having a pretty good year as a rookie. But the head coach, Gene Stalling, stopped me as on my way out to practice one day. And he said, "Son, come here." And I thought I was going to get chewed out. He said, "I just want to let you know," he was from Texas. "I just want to let you know before we announce it to the media and to your teammates, we just learned that you have been named as one of 2 rookies on the NFC Pro Bowl, and I'm proud as punch." That's all he said. So I jogged along. Rebecca, for the rest of the day, I didn't know what happened at practice. I wasn't paying attention to anything. All I could think about, I couldn't believe I'm going to the Pro Bowl. So after practice, in our team meeting, he announces that we're going to the Pro Bowl. Me, your dad, another teammate named Ron Wolfley, and I think Lomax, the quarterback. So the meeting no sooner ends and we're walking out of the meeting. And now here's Roy Green, who, he's in his 8th or 9th year, had been to multiple Pro Bowls himself earlier in his career, but he didn't have a particular good year that year. I'm walking out and I see him. And one of the things that you have to do at rookies, you have to go fetch whatever the veterans want. They wanted lunch, you go and get lunch. So I saw Roy and I said, "Yo, Jetstream, look here, man. I need a couple burgers, and I need you to get on. I need you to get in that big Benz you drive, and I need you to go down there to the chicken place and bring back a couple burgers for us Pro Bowlers."
Right. So you're the rookie talking to the veteran, ordering give around because you ascended to the Pro Bowl.
Oh my goodness, and that was part of the fun, was just the camaraderie and the banter, going back. So, we walked out of the room, being all humble and all, but as soon as we got in the locker room, oh man, hey, look, we're trying to get us to the Super Bowl, but there's only 4 of us Pro Bowlers here. Can we get some help around here?
Absolutely hilarious.
Hey, you know what? That reminds me, and you don't have to say any names, but we were on a road trip, and one of our veteran players, one of the country boys, had on a velour coat, and Roy told him that he looked like a couch. Tell that story.
Roy, when Rebecca, when you travel on the road with professional athletes and guys who are making tons of money, you had to be at your you had to be tip-top shape. You could not, you had to, if you came to the team plane, and some of these guys, were making tons of money, but they were still going buying stuff off the rack, right? You had to get stuff tailored.
Yeah.
And it had to look good. And look, we're professional athletes, so we look good, right? So, our bodies were shaped and sculpted back then. So you had to go get a tailored suit. And this player came on the team plane with this jacket that was oversized, but it was either velour or I think it was velour, and it looked like a couch. So Roy Green told him, "Hey, how you roll up in here on the team plane? We going to we get off the plane. I'm going to take you to Saks Fifth Avenue and get you something to wear, man. You can come up in here looking like a couch." Oh my goodness!
Hilarious. And you don't see much velour in the desert of Phoenix, Arizona, right? So that had to come from the country with it.
Only a country bumpkin. You know what? He probably got it on sale. At K&G Big Men's store. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, I love when you all talk about, because some of these things were normal for you all, but for us, it's like these are monumental type of experiences. So I'd love for you all, and Dad, please, as well, to just share some of the highlights of what it was like to be, flying this high.
I was thinking last night, What's it like? What's it like to be a punt returner? You're in a loud, screaming stadium. Say we're at New York against the Giants, 80,000 fans. You're back there on the 10, 20-yard line all by yourself, all eyes on you, right? And you have 11 screaming athletic pro football players whose aim is to come and cause physical damage and separate you from that football. And you have to keep your eye on that football all by yourself, knowing every eye in the stadium is on you, and make that catch and run the football. Tell us what it takes to be successful and what that feels like.
Well, look, I did it in high school. I did it in college. And all the things that we did in our jobs, we had been doing for years. We've been doing it for years. And we did it at the, some probably at the Pop Warner level. I don't know how long your dad played football before he got to the NFL, but he had been doing it. He had been blocking big people for a long time. And same thing for me. I had been catching punts, and I developed some proficiency at it. But I have to be honest with you. A lot of times in the NFL, you block out I bet your father probably rarely heard the noise unless and until it was late in the game. And we needed a score, and then maybe you hear the crowd, and you have to go the quarterback would have to lift his leg or clap his hands. You see them do that all the time. We had different methods to combat the crowd noise. But as a punt returner, you went out there and then the wind, and it was raining or snowing. You had to make adjustments for the elements. But none of that really mattered as much as what your teammates felt about you. So if you dropped a punt, as I did from time to time, not a lot, or else you get cut, how my teammates felt about me was more important than what the crowd felt, what the media felt, what anybody felt, even the coaches. I cared more about what your dad felt about me and doing my job and doing it well. And I think that's part of the respect that we have as professional athletes, is that you want to win your teammates' respect. And if you do it right, their affection, right? I mean, we loved your dad because he was a great teammate. I think I was a great teammate, and we loved each other because of that. And because we played at a high level, it meant I respected your father so much that I wanted to do things right and do great things because I wanted to win his respect. Conversely, if you didn't get it, if you flubbed, one of the worst things that happened was you come to the sidelines and you had somebody like your dad or somebody like Ron Wolfe come up to you and go, "Man, how did you make this team, man? You come up in here. Yeah, you got one job, bro. You got one job. And you go out there and you're fumbling with the football. Come on, man."
Wow, a lot of come on, man.
Well, absolutely. And, the admiration and the respect and the care. I mean, we were oftentimes when we went to some of these, the Giants, I can think of the Redskins, it was just us, 11 of us and our coaching staff. If we didn't support one another, certainly no one else would support us. And oftentimes when we played at home, there were more visiting fans at home. So, we had to be a close unit and united together. Now, here's a question, Vi. And I was reading how your dad taught you to be a boxer. Your dad was a boxer, and he wanted you to be heavyweight champion of the world. And I got to thinking, as a 10th round draft pick, how much of that type of mentality and being raised like that by your dad, how much of that grit, how much of that helped you become one of the better punt returners in the NFL? Because I can share with you, when I was drafted number 1 out of UCLA, none of the pundits recognized me. They didn't know anything about me. They said that I would only last 4 or 5 years in the league. I was too small. And I use that as incentive in the weight room, as incentive when I was studying my opponent and going out playing against the best players that I play. I use that as incentive to stay in the league 13 years and reach the accomplishment. How much of that played into your success in the league?
Probably a lot of it. My dad's great dream was that I would be the heavyweight champion of the world. And ironically, because, I'm not that big, my dad's not that big, he taught a style of fighting that he called Philly style. he had no idea where Philly was, but only that there were some fighters from Philly that he really respected. Among them was Joe Frazier, and there's another fighter named Benny Briscoe who was from Philadelphia. These fighters were shorter, like me, and they had a style of fighting where they would move in, and they like stalking the prey. They would take 2 or 3 punches on their way in, knowing that they were going to get hit, but they were looking to uncork one shot. It was that vicious left hook that Joe Frazier was famous for. So he taught me how to fight that way. I got to high school, and here's what happened. I got to high school, and what happened to me in high school is what happens to every kid that goes to an American high school. Nobody at my school knew that I boxed. Nobody, because they all were at the Friday night football games. And so I had to fight, so coach saw me and says, hey, I see you're athletic. You got a good body. Would you like to play football? I only said yes because the cutest girls at the school were hanging around these ugly dudes that were playing this game. I thought, I learned how to play that. Get one of those cuties to walk around with me in school all day. But that was the incentive, right? But when we got to the NFL, and of course along the way, you have to make your way through college, as your dad and I both did, and do well enough to get noticed by the pros. And once you get there, it's a dog eat dog. Every day, not just the opponents, but in practice. Some of the practices that we had were harder than the games, frankly. But you had to stay there, and you had to find ways. Your dad found it in being disrespected coming out of college. That was his fuel. I found it by learning how to fight and being a boxer. And interestingly, some of the techniques that we use in boxing, slipping a punch, just head movement is the same thing you do when you make somebody miss in the open field. And, somebody's trying to tackle you and you make a move. It's the same. It's not that different from, bobbing and weaving and moving your head and slipping punches. So a lot of those techniques come in handy and I incorporated them. But your dad was doing the same exact thing in his job.
Speaking of Joe Frazier, and speaking of bobbing and weaving, the left hook is the one you caught Jose Canseco with. And I saw that his people called you and wanted you to participate in a boxing match with Canseco for the publicity and because they wanted to win. And that win part, an easy win, was something that bristled you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know how we are as, you play football and there's a certain mentality. He's a big dude, and I know he's a fellow Cuban, big guy. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's 240, 50 pounds. And his people called me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing this match with them. And I said, well, why would you want me? And as your dad said, the agent said, well, it's because you work in local television. We have a venue in Atlantic City, which is just outside which is in your viewing area in Philadelphia. You can help promote the fight. But more important than anything is that we need to get his career started off the right foot, on the right foot, and get a win. And just hearing that, I said to him, well, there's a couple things here that's going to be problematic for your guy. One is that I used to fight. Well, when did you fight? When I was a kid. Oh, that doesn't matter. But I said, the second part is this. Your guy plays baseball and I played football. Well, why does that matter? I said, here's how it matters. If you go to spring training and if you go to an NFL training camp, you will notice that there's probably a subtle difference in the tenure and how people are running, practicing. And I said, it's just different. I said, football players were by nature, our game is physical, and baseball is not. And he says, well, guys clear the bench all the time for fight. I said, I've never seen a bench clearing fight. They clear the bench and they run out there and they kind of,
lollygag, yeah.
Lollygag. I said, you watch 2 NFL guys fight and it's, they're throwing. And anyways, long story short, we did it. He got in the ring and it lasted a minute and a half, and the fight was over. I knocked him out twice in under a minute and a half. But it was simply because I this was something that I had done before, and I think had football not redirected me in my path in my life, I may have ended up boxing. I'm really, really glad that I found football, because one, it got me to college, and your dad and I both had the kind of experience in college that I think college more and more is unique to football. But it's becoming more and more unique to football, because you think about it. You don't really need, you don't need college to become a boxer. You certainly don't need it to play baseball, and you don't need it really to play hockey. And more, you can go right from high school to the pros in the NBA. And even if you get to college in basketball, 1 year, right? Most of these guys are one and done, as they call it. In football, you need to stay for a minimum now of 3 years. So okay. I think having that college experience, Luis, wouldn't you agree that not only is becoming more unique to football, but I think it's one of the things that I love about football is that it requires us to spend time in college, and we associate with people who are not like us, people who are probably smarter than we are, and you're learning how to live on a budget. Yeah, all those things we do in college, and I think that's part of what makes our experience more rich.
The experience, and the maturation process. There's a maturation process that takes place in those 4 years that makes you a man. You can't have boys. Yeah, like you said, football is a very physical sport. And speaking along the lines of maturation and being in college, I saw that there was a young man, I think his name was Burnett, who used to hang out at the parking lot across from Busch Stadium that you would see. And you noticed that he needed some shoes. You brought him into the locker room, gave him some kangaroos. You remember those, which Walter Payton was the big spokesman for, gave his kids some roos. And many years later, you happened to run into him while you were working as a sports anchor there in Philadelphia. You ran into him at a press conference. He was the second-round draft choice of the Eagles. You guys reconnected. To tell us that story, Vi.
Yeah, his name is Barrett Brooks. He's from St. Louis. This happened my rookie year, and he would have walked right past you, because one day we were coming in it was a game day, and as you remember, Luis, there was a parking garage right across the street from Busch Stadium where
I remember.
Players parked. I parked my car, and this was routine. And you park your car and you walked across the street to the stadium. There'd be a gaggle of kids. They'd follow you over, and they're asking for autographs, or they're asking for this, or wristbands, or if you had an extra ticket. And most of the time you could just sign stuff and keep walking. Well, this happened on, late in the season, my rookie year. I'm walking into the stadium, and there's a bunch of kids that are walking with me. And I look down, and one of the kids was, kind of a big kid. I looked down, his shoes, he had cut holes. He had cut the top of his shoes off so that his toes can stick out. And I suddenly realized why he did that. It was to give himself another year of wear with those shoes, because his feet were bigger than the shoes. And so I said to him, hey, why don't you follow me down? I'm going to walk you into the locker room. I'll get you a pair of shoes. So he followed me down. Back then, if you remember, Luis, there was 3 security checkpoints at the top of the stadium. You went through into the lock, and then the third one in the locker room. And I just got him through, and I said, I'm just bringing this young man in. He's getting something from me. So I asked him what size shoes he wears, and he says 12. And my feet were 10.5. So just so happened that Stump Mitchell, fellow running back who was right next to me in my locker, wore size 12s. And I said, Stump, hook brother up, man. This big. I asked him what his name was. He told me his name was Barrett, but I didn't remember it. He told me he was like 12 years old, but he was like 6 foot and 200 pounds. He was a big hulking black kid. So I gave him the shoes, and he walked out of my life. And 10 years later, of course, the team moves to Phoenix, so I lose track of him, right? Your dad and I, we're playing in Phoenix, and then I ended up going to the Green Bay Packers and then came to the Eagles. I finished my career in the NFL. I'm working in television now. It's my first or second year working in TV. I'm covering the NFL draft. Eagles announced their second-round pick is from Kansas State. His name is Barrett Brooks. He's an offensive tackle. Kid walks in with the GM and the owner, and I don't know who he is, but he comes and stops and he just goes, hey, Vi, It's me. And I go, hey, welcome, Barrett. He goes, no, man, you don't get it. the shoes, the Rouge. Remember the Rouge?
Wow.
The name brand was Louis. Did you wear Rouge?
Yeah, I wore Rouge. Yeah. Remember the store they had at Chesterfield Mall? We used to go and get product.
No, that was for the big time players like you. Rookies like us, we only got a few pair of turf shoes and cleats at the stadium. We didn't get to go get product at the mall like some of you guys did.
Forgive me. I forgot. I don't remember. Go ahead.
I gave this kid these shoes,
Wow.
and 10 years later, wouldn't you know, he went on and played college, and he gets drafted to the very team where I was working. We reconnected. He and I have been good friends ever since. I helped him get into television while he's here, and he's a big time TV analyst here in the Philadelphia area, and so we've been friends ever since, and love him to death. But yeah, it's kind of one of those. Look, I wasn't a hero for giving him shoes. Louis will tell you, your dad will tell you, everybody gives out shoes because you get them for free. They pay you to get shoes. Like your dad said, he used to go to the Chesterfield Mall in St. Louis, and they handed him more product. You know. So, anyways, it was a sweet story that ended well.
Yeah. Well, what a divine connection. And I'll let you ask the next question. And another thing I wanted to mention, your fight with Canseco, you took the proceeds from your winnings and donated to a fallen police officer's family there in the Philadelphia community. So, you know, I just wanted to mention that. And I wanted to thank you for your random acts of kindness and for the influencer that you are in the community, Vai.
I appreciate that, Louis. You're too kind, and no, it's not wasn't a big deal at all. But you know, we all try to do our part and do the best we can, and sometimes we all fall short, as you know, we all do. And I fall short plenty, but when we can, we should do our best. And
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what I wanted to just jump in, I'm loving the camaraderie and you guys sort of going back and bringing these memories to life, right? And so for me as a daughter, I oftentimes think about what it was like to have a father who played in the NFL, and I remember some of the behind the scenes action. But I just want to ask you all, you know, what was family life like when you were in the NFL, and what is it like today?
We have 4 children. They're all grown. We're empty nesters, and we have 7 grandchildren. We have 2 more grandkids coming, one next week, and then that's our 8th. Number 9 is due in June. 3 of our 4 kids are married. They're all doing well. They're well educated, and you know, look, Rebecca, the truth is, your dad and I had to play football. We really had to play football to get out of the situations, you know, and have because it provided us this unique opportunity to do things that we may not have otherwise been able to do, right? I think your father had provided for you and your siblings the same things that I've been able to provide for my children, which is, Louis, you remember what Gene Stallings used to say? You owe your children 2 things, a good name and an education. You remember that? You owe your children 2 things, a good name and an education. I think your father has provided that for you and your siblings, and I have tried my best to provide it for my children. And, you know, my kids are doing their best. They're trying to, you know, they live their lives in the best way that they can. And, you know, it's funny, you know, your dad and I were talking about this the other night as well. It's, you know, coming into the league, there were some, you know, again, just some of these funny now it seems to me, but when I first came into the league, my wife and I used to take my paycheck every Monday and we go just cash it all. I remember I'd sign it and push it in to the teller in the drive-through, and she would say, how much of this would you like deposited? And I'd say, none.
Oh my God.
I want all of it. And I want you to divide it evenly into 2 envelopes and send it back. So she would. My wife would take one envelope and I'd take the other. We went to the, what was the name of that mall? Union Station.
Union Station, yeah, downtown, yeah.
Downtown. We were like 2 teenage kids at the mall with tons of money, just walking around buying all kinds of nonsense, you know, and not really even knowing what was quality stuff. Right? There were these 2 men's store at the mall. It's in back 40 years ago. These 2 stores were in every mall. Chess King and Oak Tree. I would go there and buy stuff, you know, $100 suits. I thought, oh man, I get me 6 of those. There were $100 suits. I mean, they disintegrated after like 3 wears because the material was terrible. And But I thought, man, this is the best stuff. Oh, I can't believe I'm in. But when I was in college, I thought, man, if I can ever get me one of them suits at Chess King, I didn't realize that you can actually, with a little bit more money, go get yourself a tailored suit, and it would last like, a couple years, as opposed to the Chess King stuff at the mall that was, $80 that only lasts 2 wears. So, these are I'm just sharing sort of day in the life of kinds of experiences when you come into that experience in the NFL and you start making, of course, now these guys are making tons more money than we were making. But, you had to navigate life, in your new tax bracket, getting to live in nicer places than you were familiar with. And just all these things that were different in our lives than what we had been accustomed to.
I want to interject, Vi, and I wanted to thank you publicly. I shared with you and Rebecca the other day when we were talking through my many valley lows. People like yourself, people like Roy, you've always been very supportive. You've always been encouraging, always made yourself available, even during those times when I didn't love myself because of addiction issues that I've had and I've overcome. And now I can be an asset in the community and preach a message of hope to those that are still struggling. But it's because of people like you, people I like you that had a heart of compassion. And I really greatly appreciate just being available, just talking to me, because so many, when you're no longer on top and when you lose your status in society, they turn their backs on you. Not Jetstream. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, our relationship was, football was what brought us together, but it isn't what kept us together. What kept us together was our love for one another and our respect for each other. Yeah. And even when addiction took a hold of you in your life, hey, we loved you, man. We cared about you, and we wanted you to recover, and hopefully our association and our friendship and our relationship helped in that regard. I think it did. Roy helped you a great deal, and that's what that's what a brother. We were in a brotherhood, man. We were in a unique brotherhood. And,
absolutely.
And a part of a fraternity, Rebecca, as you can appreciate, we are a part of one of the most unique and inclusive, exclusive fraternities that there is, because not many guys get to play in the NFL and not play it at the level that we did. So when you're a part of something like that, you tend to bond and stay together. And I just hope I love you, Luis, and I love your children. They're Rebecca's beautiful and smart, and man, I look at you, Louis, with all due respect, she does look like her mother, man.
Thank you. Hi, Mom. I know she's watching.
Kathy, if you're watching and listening, Keala says hi. By the way, your mother, one of the sweetest and most graceful women that we met, and one of the reasons why coming into the NFL wasn't just about us; it was also about our families and our wives. And your mother helped my wife navigate and assimilate into NFL life and culture, because she was so young when we came into the league. I think my wife was 20 years old when we came into the NFL, and your mom Kathy just loved her up and took care of her, and there were other wives, Roy's wife as well. Just really was good to all of us. So anyways, I love you, Luis. I
love you too, brother. Love you brother, too. Man. And again, I thank you for all of your support. It's the reason why I'm alive. I'm a productive member of society. And now I can go and I can share my testimony and give others that are struggling with addiction, give them hope that they too can change their lives and become responsible and productive members. On a side note, Sergeant, Dr. Sargent, Dr. Broderick Sargent, wanted to make sure, I can't call him Sarge anymore because he's a doctor. He wants me to ask you about the 6th floor.
Oh my gosh. Dr. Sargent, I'm shocked by that. With all due respect to my boy. We were on the 6th floor as rookies, and me and Dr. Sarge, we ran that floor. We ran that floor, man. Them rookies, they, we ended up, I think we may have been the only 2 rookies that made the team that year. There may have been 1 or 2 others, but there weren't many. And he and I were the only 2 that really were even playing. So that's another thing. The fact that Broderick Sargent, who went to Baylor, great running back, played also with the Dallas Cowboys. The fact that he became a doctor is just one of the great miracles. You've had miracles in your life. The fact that I ended up working in television is a miracle, and that Broderick Sargent is a doctor, that's another miracle. Honestly,
celebrate those miracles.
So it's a life of miracles.
Amen. I want to go back to something you were saying, Dad, and I too just echo the sentiments of thanking you very earnestly for your friendship and for your love, for your prayers over 30 plus years of friendship. And as we know right now, there are a lot of people that are dealing with addictions of many sorts. In fact, I was looking up, the CDC says that 128 people die every day from overdoses. So as somebody who watched their friend fall from grace and continue to support him over the years, what kind of advice do you have for people who are watching their family members or friends go through addiction? What kind of hope would you give them to sit closer than a brother through these times?
Well, I think, look, I'm just going to share with you my experience with your dad. But I think you and your siblings, your mom, other, immediate family members, what you have to say may be more relevant. But here's what I would say as a friend. As a friend, one is just not be judgmental. Don't be judgmental. And just love. Just love. I think the person, I don't think anybody, I think we can help, but I personally think that it has to come from within that person. He or she needs to want to, because as much as we want to help and assist, I don't think that anybody recovers from addiction with just that, that because others want so badly to help them, right? I don't know enough about it, but I think your father at some level probably needed to hit rock bottom, and everybody's rock bottom is different, right? Some are, your father hit rock bottom, and I think when he did, and he needed to go through what he had to, and I suspect he probably is grateful that some of the things, ended up, because he may not have ever recovered if he hadn't got to that point. But for those of us who are friends, look, I like the two of you believe in prayer and the power of prayer and loving someone and the power of that. By the way, I love your dad. Your dad's workouts. I watch it on Facebook, and man, he is
daily.
Holy smokes! I'm going, man, gone, Luis. But I just love seeing what he's doing. He's turned his addiction in, like, he's addicted to exercise. And good things, which is, I think there's a life lesson in there. I think we can all be addicted to something. If it's something good like exercise and eating healthy, it's great. But don't get addicted to the stuff that will tear you down, whether it's drugs or pornography or anything that would ruin your emotion, your spirituality, who you are, your life, your health. Don't be addicted to those things.
Amen.
Let me just thank you for those very kind affirmations, Vi. And I just want to say that absolutely, you can't force a person that's addicted. You can't lock them up. You can't talk to them until they decide that they want to make a change. I tell people all the time, when the pain of not changing becomes greater than the pain of change, change will occur. And that's true in my life and true in the lives of thousands of other addicts. And absolutely, we can continue to love and we can continue to not be judgmental, but we have to understand that sometimes the only thing we can do is prayer. And what I'm addicted to, because of my mountain highs and valley lows and everything that's happening in life, I found a dynamic and I found a very real relationship with the God of my understanding, who I happen to love today, and I have an intimate relationship with. And I've recognized that it's my problem was my pride, my ego, my self-absorption, all of that. I had to get rid of that so that God could take control of my life and lead and guide me. And so that's in a nutshell my testimony. But again, thank you for those very kind affirmations.
And we're proud of you, Dad. We really, truly are, because I know I've seen the transformation, and it truly does underscore the power of prayer. And just, you know, the enemy has tried to take this one out several times, but each and every time I'm like, God has you here for a reason and a purpose. And I believe that you are fulfilling that purpose even to this day. So thank you so much. It's powerful. So I was reading a book by John Maxwell, and Andrew Carnegie has this idea of the gospel of wealth. He says you spend half of your life attaining wealth and the other half giving it away. So Vi, I know you're on the cusp of retirement, which is really, really exciting. Congratulations to you and your wife. What do you plan to do with this next half of your life? How are you going to build something that continues to outlive you?
That's a great question. We haven't figured everything out yet, but we know that I've had a good run in television here in the Philadelphia market, in the Philadelphia area. It's been a lot of fun. Now, I didn't make enough money like Andrew Carnegie to give everything away that I've made. Matter of fact, I'm not sure that I made enough for to live as long as I want to live. So who knows? We'll figure those things out. But I think I'm going to spend more time serving in my church. I think I'm going to spend more time looking for ways to help and bless others' lives. We have a foundation that we set up a couple of years ago, and we've been able to help kids in the adoption field, where I've worked for a long time in television, helping kids get adopted. We paid for the tuition of a young man that just graduated this year in August. And, so yeah, it's very satisfying to help kids like that and who can't who aren't in a position to help themselves. And we are, and our foundation helps out and picks up tuition tabs and helps kids in situations where we can. So we can't help everybody, but the funds that we get, we regard as sacred, and we try to stretch it and bless as many lives as we possibly can with it.
That's really, really beautiful. I love the common thread of philanthropy through your entire story on tonight. Can you just share with our viewers though what the name of your foundation?
Oh,
what
yeah.
To do? Yeah, thank you.
It's the Vai Sikahema Foundation.
Okay.
We have a website where we're the station is actually doing a half hour tribute to my career this coming next Friday.
Okay.
And then it's a way to sort of drive people to our foundation website, vaisikahema.com /retirement. And they can go there and watch the tributes that are coming from former teammates. I think they got Eagles teammates because I'm living in Philadelphia. They didn't get any of my Cardinals teammates.
So repeat that, vaisikahema.com
/retirement. /retirement.
And Friday night, coming Friday?
7:30. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll simulcast the program, and then people can stay on and we'll have some fun things to auction as foundations do. And so anyways, hopefully, we try to help bless people, and especially kids who are less fortunate than we are.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for your work to the community and for lifting as you climb. It's people like you truly who do make a tremendous impact in the lives, just like Mr. Barrett, right? 30 years ago, when you gave him those shoes and you see that seed, how it just flourished years later. So for planting seeds, for cultivating seeds, and we trust God to continue to bring forth the increase.
Amen.
Amen.
You are blessed. You are blessed to be a blessing.
Yes.
And what I love hearing you say is that you're a servant. We're called to be servants just like he was a servant.
Amen.
And that's where I found my purpose and significant in life is serving others. And I'm learning, what I'm learning, Vi? The less concerned I am about me, the more the God of my understanding takes care of me. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how that works.
Yeah. Amen. Amen, Louis. Amen, brother.
How to get stuff out of the way. We want to wrap this up. And I had one more question I was going to ask. I got to find it. Rebecca, I know you don't struggle for anything to talk about, so I'll let you take over now.
Well, Vi, I'd love to hear more because of my interest in media. I'd love to hear about some of your highlights in your television career. What's been something that you hold close to your heart during your time working at the ABC affiliate, right?
The NBC station in Philadelphia,
Okay.
Channel 10, WCAU, and it's an NBC station. So one of the amazing things that have happened in my life is that because it's NBC, they have the Olympics, and they've sent me all over the world to cover the Olympic Games. So I've been to, they sent me to Sydney, Australia, Athens, Greece, Torino, Italy, Sochi, Russia, Beijing, China. I mean, I've traveled the world to cover the Olympics, and man, it's just and every time I'm there, I can't believe that I'm there, and I can't believe that I'm there getting paid on somebody's dime, and I'm there, got front row seats. I mean, I watched Usain Bolt break the world record in Beijing. I've watched every major event that happened. Team USA in basketball. It was just fascinating to travel the world and see these things and be witness to it. So if there was a highlight, and I've covered all four of the major sports. I've been to the championships, Super Bowls, covered 2 Super Bowls where the Eagles played, the 2 World Series for the Phillies, Stanley Cup Finals twice, the NBA Finals when the Sixers win it against the Lakers, they lost. So at the Triple Crown, when there were 2 horses over the years from Philadelphia that ran in the Triple Crown.
Wow.
Jones and Barbara. I mean, the list goes on and on. But then transition to news, and then I've been a news anchor for the last 7 or 8 years. Have been fascinating as having a front row seat and watching all that have unfolded in a pandemic. I mean, a world pandemic. It comes once every 100 years, right? The last one was in 1918, and I mean, just amazing things, incredible things that we have witnessed in the world. I've gotten to witness and broadcast. So, yeah, that's been my life.
And everything you said just reminds me of the scripture that your gift will make room for you and place you in front of great men. And that has certainly been true for your life, Vi. So we're proud of you and just thankful to know and be known by you. Absolutely. I know you've got something.
Well, I want to know. Let me see if you recognize this shirt, Vi.
That's LT's.
LT's from where?
The Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl shirt.
That's why it's number 57.
Prove that I was there with LT.
All right. These are heirlooms.
So what happened after that game, Vi? LT came up to me in the locker room, and he said that there was no player that gave him more trouble pass blocking than me. And he wanted to honor me by giving me his Pro Bowl jersey.
Wow.
That is the greatest memento that I have from the 13-year, 3 NFL Pro Bowl career that I had. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, he's the greatest defensive player in the history of the National Football League. And those of us who were around and played when he played, and especially your father played against him, those of us who were around to watch him play, there's not been a player in the history of the National Football League that was more feared than Lawrence Taylor. And your father has his jersey because he had that much respect and admiration for your dad. That's powerful, bro. That's powerful.
Well, it's that mindset you had when they told you they needed a winner for Jose Canseco. It's that same mindset. No, bro, you put some of this plans just like I do, and I'm going to study him, and I'm going to put in the work, and I'm going to believe in myself despite what anybody else thinks, and I'm going to get the job done no matter what.
Amen.
It's that mindset.
Amen.
Powerful lessons. I just, really want to make sure everybody remembers, like Vi, our esteemed guest said, make sure you love on your neighbors, love on the people, even if they're a little unlovable, and don't be judgmental. We could go so much further, right? Without that judgment. And of course, the power of prayer is key. Check out VaiSikahema.com/retirement and make sure you tune in.
Friday night, 7:30. We'll be watching.
We will be watching.
Congratulations, you and Kayala. wonderful, beautiful story or a beautiful family. Thank you so much, Vi, for joining us, for your very affirming and very kind and gracious words. Certainly appreciate it. And we'll be praying for one another and hope for greater later.
Love you guys. Love you guys.
Love you too, bye. Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless.
God bless
everyone. Thanks for joining tonight.
Love you. Proud of you guys.
Thanks everyone for joining Sharpe Talk. We appreciate you sharing your time with us, spending your time with us. Peace.
Sharpe Talk. Sharpe Talk.
Sharpe Talk.